Engineer William Amuna is an electrical engineer with about 35 years experience in the industry. Engineer Amuna attended the Navrongo Secondary School, then continued to the Ghana Secondary Technical School, GSTS in Takoradi, then entered KNUST, graduating in 1985. Thereafter, I did my national service with the Water River Authority from 1985 to 1987. At the time, national service was 2 years. After national service, 87, the day I was done with national service, the same day I was employed by the Water River Authority as an assistant engineer. I worked with the VRA and rose to the rank of Director for Technical Services. Thereafter, I continued to GRIDCO, where I became the Chief Executive of GRIDCO from 2013 to 2017. Now, after my engineering training, I also undertook some training, an MBA in finance, and then an MPA in public policy. And I think that also has helped in the work I have been doing. I have been able to rise up to the position I reached in VRA and GRIDCO because of certain guiding principles, one of which is hard work and a continuous learning. Hard work, I needed to put in a lot in whatever I was doing. I needed to go the extra mile in whatever I was doing in order to achieve the goals of the institution. I think that helped a lot. One other guiding principle is discipline. I was very disciplined. I made sure that I was never late to work. I was always very prompt. Anytime you go to the office, we started work at 8 o'clock, but normally by 6:30, you find me at work. And I have done that up to today. I mean, even now, I still go to work very early. I leave early to work and make sure that I'm there before the start of work. That level of discipline is very, very important, that if you seek to become a leader, you must first be a servant. That is the best way. You just need to make sure that you do the ordinary things very well. You go through all the rules, everything, obey the rules, and then when you get to the top, you can enforce those rules. Otherwise, you are going to run into trouble. I met this managing director of a Ghanaian company, a former managing director, and he told me that with their company, they always found out those who were potential leaders in the company. And what they did was that anytime they recruited management trainees, they would give them a vehicle, give them fuel, and then after a month, they get to know those who are potential leaders. And that stems from the fact that some of them could use a car, high mileages, they would consume so much fuel, and then you see some others who may not use a vehicle that way. And if you want to be a leader in a company, you should know how to manage the assets of the company. Very interesting question. My father was a military man. I was born in Burma camp, and it's normal that the children of military men would want to become soldiers. So that was my desire, to become a soldier. Now, when I told my father, he told me that I wasn't a gentleman, so he wouldn't allow me to go to the military, because military men are supposed to be very gentle. He thought he had seen some kind of, I was way too active, and he didn't want me to get into trouble in future, so he thinks that I should leave the military out. Then I told you earlier on that I attended Navrongo Secondary School. At the time I was there, the headmaster was a Scottish man, Colin George MacDonald, and he was a scientist. He could build anything. I mean, he was virtually working every time. and many students worked along with him. So in working along with him, I picked up that idea that I could become an engineer. Then also some of my seniors, when I was in the secondary school, became engineers, and I thought that that was a very good field to go to. So ultimately, that was where I was supposed to end, and I did. And I think I've not regretted that, definitely, yeah. I don't think we are doing enough, and I wouldn't blame the universities. I think that the major problem has been with funding for the universities. I'm really very sorry for the universities, especially this particular time of the pandemic. I know what the universities are going through. So for me, I think we are not doing enough, and it is mainly due to funding. What you could do is that you could have modern laboratories. You could have, very good research centers. You could have many more lecturers. You could have many more branches, many more subjects that are being taught at the postgraduate level. I mean, there are students who may like to undertake a particular course that may not be done here in Ghana. But with funding, you're able to expand more and then do many more things. And apart from that, you look at the students. Now, it is not only the part of the universities. The students, the moment they graduate, their parents expect that they should be working and then bringing monies back home. Now, you would imagine that you graduate, your parents think that now they are settled, at least they spent enough on you, and then you go back to tell your parents that you are going for further studies. You are taking more money from them. We need scholarships for the students. We need to find a way that any student who is there has that necessary support to be able to undertake the postgraduate training. That is why I was actually very proud when I heard of the K.E.E.P program by KNUST. Incidentally, I'm a board member, and I'm so happy to be one, because I think it's a very good thing that has been done, and it should be encouraged. Definitely, I have seen what K.E.E.P is about, and I think we are on a very positive path. Definitely, we are going to have very good laboratories and then research areas. We are going to support the students that will be coming in, so that their parents will not have that worry of we continuously spending on their children when they are of age. And then I guess we are going to have many more lectures, very good lectures that would come in there to support the students. So I believe that if that happens, in a matter of 5 years or so, we should be okay with no. We would also need to collaborate with other universities in order to keep such programs going. I mean, it shouldn't just be KNUST. We should be, I know that KNUST is already collaborating. I remember there was this program with Texas A&M also. I mean, we should encourage such programs as well. What we need more is to get the very bright students interested in the postgraduate training. It's also very important. Sometimes when the students go out and then they get very good jobs, then they virtually forget about postgraduate training. So there should be that system that would encourage them to come back for the postgraduate training. It's important. Then we would also need to make sure that the training has a strong practical bit, such that when the students come in, they know that the moment they are done, they would get some job somewhere to do, or they could start their own job. I don't really fully agree with that. When you graduate, to become a very good engineer, there are 3 people who can make you the good engineer. One is the university, by giving you the proper training. The second one is yourself. You must really work hard and build your capacity to be able to work. And the third is industry. Wherever you find yourself, this should also bring you up. Now, it is not possible that you just get an engineer from the university, he gets to the classroom, he gets to industry, and then starts working the first day. That is not possible. It is only possible when you have very good internship programs. In some countries, what they do is that during their years in the university, the first year, the second year, third, and then the final year, they go up to certain industries for internship. So during that period, they are able to build up. So when they get into industry, it becomes seamless, But unfortunately, we don't have that here. The students who normally go for internship, nothing much is done. I have received so many students. What should be done is that they should get very concrete programs for them. But because the numbers are so many, just because few industries want to actually absorb them, we could, when I was in GRIDCO, we could take up to about 150 students, just because many industries wouldn't take them. So when you take such numbers, you are not able to actually bring them up. So the student would have to also do his bit in learning. When he comes to industry, it is the duty of industry to train that student. When I entered VRE in 1985, during my national service period, 2 years I was at the VRE training school, undertaking what we call protection and control training. Whole 2 years I was there. You go in there for training, they send you out to the field, then you come back, continuously. So at the end of 2 years, I became a protection and control engineer. And I'm happy to say that all the substations that were built to the north, from Techiman to Sunyani to Wenchi to whether I was a commissioning engineer. I was a very young engineer at the time. So just 2 years after school, I became a commissioning engineer, and I commissioned every substation there. I had to declare that the substation was okay before we could knock on, so I would do all the testing and, for major bulk supply points all around the country. Yeah. So it is important that the university brings the students up. It is important that we have very good internship programs, and that should stem from the industry. I mean, they should help in getting these internship programs going through. It is also important that the student builds his own capacity. Apart from the classroom work, you should also be learning. We have resources like YouTube and other things. They are really very good resources that they could learn from. Then finally, industry itself. When the people come in there, it's their duty to train the students who will come. If you just expect that, look, I've employed you, you're coming to work, no, that's not right. And there are many institutions around that have training facilities that would always bring the students up. Like I said, VRA has a very good system. The VRA Learning Academy, as they call it now, where they train the workers there, as well as the entrants, the new entrants into VRA. Now, there are many industries around that don't have such facilities because it's costly. I mean, it's not that easy to run such training institutions. So what they do is that sometimes they go around, after VRA, others have trained the people, such industries would come poaching, and then they get the people, they give them better offers, and then they would go to those industries to work. I don't think we are doing enough with regards to academia, industry linkages. I don't think so. And it is also important to note that most products from industry normally emanate from the academic institutions. Through their research and the rest of it, they come out with products that industry would quickly pick up. Maybe they pay for it and then you utilize. So it is important that you have academia and industry working together. The problem here is that we are not doing enough. You don't have any support for the universities from industry. And that is a big challenge. Now, how are we going to solve that? We are going to solve this problem of lack of linkages, if I may say so, between industry and academia. By some countries, what they do is that they use policy. They come out with policies that would encourage this kind of arrangement. And it's not for free, of course. Sometimes if you give that support to academia, there's something in return. Some countries do that. Okay. Now, the next thing is that for industry to be helping academia, then there should be seeing something, something that they could gain from that relationship. Okay? If they don't see that, it becomes a big problem. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that industry should come and tell the universities what they should teach their students, but there should be this avenue that would allow industry to have some little bit of input into the kind of training that is given to the students for certain industries. It is very important that, for certain industries, you would have the universities listening to the industry, and then coming out with programs that would help them, undertake their jobs effectively. That is very key if you want the two of them. Then, the other way around, if you have an industry and then you need help for certain problems that you have, you would have to go to academia. You need to support them. If you don't support them, they are not able to pay their lecturers properly. And if they don't pay the lecturers properly, the lecturers leave academia and go into industry. You would imagine that all lecturers leave and then go into industry. That becomes a big problem. So who is going to train the students? Who is going to train the engineers? So it is important that they also, pay back in a way that would encourage academia to go and then help them. Well, sometimes it's voluntary. There are people who wouldn't, we don't need to force anybody. There are people who are in there that you could always bring to some of the functions in KNUST. And then during the function, some of the problems or the challenges of the industry in the university are made known to the people who will be around there. Some will go and then come back and then help. It's important. We also need to keep the database of alumni. Occasionally, if there's a major challenge, you can send messages out to alumni telling them that, look, we want to set up this particular laboratory. It's going to cost this much, and we need support from alumni or whoever wants to help to do that. And I think that would work. So having a very good database of alumni is very important. Very bright. The oil and gas find, the last 10 years, has been very positive. Now we have our own oil, we have our own gas. There used to be a time that geopolitical tension somewhere would cause oil prices to spike. A barrel could go to about $140. And then it sends everything in the negative direction in Ghana. But at least now, we have gas, we have oil, and then continuously we are finding more. And I think that is very good. KNUST, I know you are training students that will actually run some of such industries. We should intensify that and then get our own people running such facilities. So it's a big opportunity for our students. With the electricity subsector, now we have excess power. We have excess power. At the time I was CEO, somewhere 2013, 2014, there was massive doomsaw. But as we stand now, if our neighbors want about 1,000 megawatts of power, we can give it to them. We have more than enough. Okay? What is left is that we need to look at technology and make the use of electricity better. This is where KNUST would come in. KNUST would have to undertake researches into energy efficiency and demand-side management. Is very important. Look at efficient uses of energy. Presently, I'm working with MiDA, and we are organizing what we call energy services centers. And the good news is that KNUST is one of the institutions I was chosen. They have gone through all the training. They are going to train people to undertake energy audits and the rest of it. So that if they do that and then they find certain industries inefficient, they should be able to get back to KNUST to get them to undertake studies or researches that would make such industries very efficient. Now we have this other thing that has come up, microgrids. Microgrids have become the latest technology, and it's actually being done everywhere. It's trending everywhere. And we need to get KNUST very involved in microgrids. With microgrids, we are able to get some island communities and the rest of them, having electricity. There are certain communities in Ghana that there's no way you can send a grid to. You could go in there, create a microgrid that would be, utilized. You could also even have within in areas that you have electricity, you could create microgrids over there, and I think KNUST should be very interested in that. It's a very important thing. So the opportunities are there now. The energy sector is open, and we should seize that opportunity. Get our students involved, get the lecturers involved, get all the researchers involved, and then it should be good. It is important that people get to know what you can do. It's very important. One way of doing that is having what we call a roadshow. You could go out, look at certain industries, things that you have done within KNUST, go out and then talk to the people. We've been able to do this and that and that and that. Can we collaborate to make it better? So there should be that knowledge sent to all the people that you may be dealing with, or that your research would be covering. It is important that people get to know what you are capable of doing. If they don't know, everybody will sit aloof and then nothing happens at all. So it is important that you go around. Yeah. Now, if you look at the institutions around, when I was in GRIDCO, virtually all the engineers were from KNUST. Majority of the engineers were from KNUST. So what is the tie between GRIDCO and then KNUST? So we need to build that up. I remember we sponsored, was it a laboratory or something? I spoke with the ECG MD and the VRA, and we sponsored. That should also continue, And they are very bright students. This thing that people say, the young ones who are coming don't know anything. No. I was in Japan for a meeting. Then I was on my phone. So the Japanese sitting next to me saw what I was looking at, and then he asked me, "What is this?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking at the Ghana power system, live." I said, "Oh, where did you get the software?" I said, "Oh, it was designed by one of my engineers." He said, "Wow." And he took the thing, went through everything, and he was amazed. That young man was from KNUST. Yeah. Upcoming engineers, they must work hard. They must really work hard. They must throw the box away. People say think outside the box. No, there shouldn't be a box at all. They should really try to expand their knowledge. And there are so many resources now on the internet and everything that they could, utilize to expand that knowledge. Now, one thing I would also add is that they shouldn't only concentrate on the field where they studied. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. I worked somewhere with a mechanical engineer, and the guy was so knowledgeable in electrical engineering. I was surprised. I thought he was an electrical engineer. When he told me he was a mechanical engineer, I was very surprised. So apart from what you've learned, learn everything. From, as the normally say, archaeology to zoology. Whatever subject that you think that you should be able to learn, go ahead and then learn. It is important that the first few years, they don't come around joining political parties. No, they should study their subjects, study other subjects that are linked to their courses, and maybe that can make things better for them. And then after some time, if they want to get into politics or anything, they can do that. But the moment you're an engineer, you come out and then you don't get into your field, after a few years, you become rusty. And you find it very difficult getting back there, and nobody would employ you anyway. So it's important. Now, with the alumni, I know they've been doing a great job. I've met with them several times here, right in this room. They used to visit me. We had discussions. I was appointed an ambassador for the alumni, and we've been doing quite a good job going around fundraising. There was a time that we went around raising funds, and I think it was very good. So they should be encouraged. They are doing a very good job. I remember there was some time they brought a number of students to Akosombo, hosted them, and they took them through some training, and actually visited me in Akosombo, and that was very good. Thank you very much. I would also want to thank KNUST for the training they've given me. And like I told you earlier on, I have 3 sons and they're all electrical engineers. They were all trained by KNUST. So for my family, personally, I think that has been very good. So thank you, KNUST. Good job. Thank you.